afternoon, everyone. 15 past 3 o'clock hour on a Thursday edition of On Cue. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quinones. We are coming at you live inside the friendly confines of the SR 1029 FM The Game remote studios, as well as on the AUDACY app, part of the Coastal Sports Digital Network. We got about an hour plus to play with on a very busy Thursday. Hope everyone had a good Sports Wednesday. You are enjoying your 16th of January 2026 as we will dissect the world of sports down for you guys as we typically do. A lot of NFL to get into, a little college football will mix in, a little hot stove baseball, but of course you guys out there get social with me as always on SR 1029 FM The Game. It's very easy, again, for myself at Rich Q on Q on X, on IG, TikTok, Rich Q on a mic, and of course the YouTube channel. You guys have been absolutely fantastic with the engagement on the channel, the comments, the engagement, just the back and forth, the banter. You guys sub into the channel. It means the world to me. Thank you very much. I appreciate it greatly. And certainly hashtag on cue to get in on the conversation. And where do we want to begin on this Thursday? Where do we want to begin? As I woke up this morning, very early after a little overseas action, waking up right around 4-ish, 5-ish, having a couple cups of my delicious fresh roasted coffee, waiting for the alerts, waiting for the beep, waiting for the ticker, waiting for the bottom scroll, not the Q ticker, but waiting to hear something break regarding my New York Football Giants. And what happened right around 4:30-ish, 5, I started to see it. I started to feel it. I was trying to lay my head down even for like an hour or so, but I couldn't. Tossing and turning a little bit. And then that gut, you get it in the gut. You feel like something is about to happen. You feel like something is about to just come down. And then long and behold, the New York Giants, the New York Football Giants, finally land their guy, Johnny on the spot, pretty much a done deal. Harbaugh will become the next head coach of the New York Giants. And if you followed me for the last several weeks, and obviously if you followed me for years now, you know there's only been a couple of head coaches in the NFL that I've really liked, that I really respected. Obviously, Coughlin was my guy. Parcells was my guy. And sure, there are other coaches in the NFL I've kind of followed. I've always been a Harbaugh guy. I've always been a John Harbaugh fan. Yes, I've been critical of John Harbaugh at times. Absolutely. We can nitpick all we want, but the bottom line is this. I told you guys this on Wednesday's show, on a Woosah Wednesday. There was no way, no chance on God's green earth that the Giants could allow John Harbaugh to leave the building without having a deal done. And they worked through the night. They had a delicious dinner. Here we go, back on the plane to Baltimore. And in the end, pretty much barring any goofiness, the devil's always in the details, as we like to say. John Harbaugh will become the next head coach of the New York Giants. And there are, there's a couple of thoughts and opinions. And I feel as though if you are a Giant fan today, you got to feel happy. You got to be pumped. You got to be excited. Now, there's always going to be the blowback, the negative, the nitpicking. That's fine. Not for today. Not on Happy Harbaugh. We're not raining on the parade. Not today. It's a move the Giants had to make. It's a move the Giants had to get done to bring back the credibility, to bring back structure, organization. And we'll get into the details, but the bottom line is I thought maybe Joe Schoen could derail this. And Joe Schoen played it perfectly. I haven't been a Joe Schoen fan, but if you look at the draft with the Neighbors and the Dart and the Scatterboo and the Carters of the world, that was appealing to John Harbaugh. And now, before he even walks through the building, this team is no longer a laughingstock. Now, you still got to win football games. You still have to win football games. You still got to win on Sunday. You got to win the battle in the trenches. But the fan base, you are allowed to be excited today. You are allowed to be pumped up today. You should be. After bad football for 10, 15 years, after, everyone would sit there and say, hey, you got to bring in the young offensive coordinator. You got to bring in the hot mind. Well, they tried that. They tried that with McAdoo, and it didn't work out. They tried that with Shermer, and it didn't work out. They tried that with the bully Judge. It didn't work out. They tried it with Brian Daboll. Aside from his first season, smoke and mirrors, it never worked out. So you had to go, and you got to dance with the devil that you know. And in this case, it's Harbaugh. And I'm telling you, you look at this team, this roster, it is, I would say right now, a young team. It's an evolving team. And I'm not going to sit here on a Thursday, less than 5, 6, 7, 8 hours before the deal has been christened and done and baptized, that this team is all of a sudden going to flip the script and go from worst to first. No, they got a lot of work to do. But the pros of this, anytime you bring in a guy like Harbaugh and his body of work, resume, track record, career, his ilk, again, you have to stop the bleeding. And now you have a guy that's been around the block 20 plus years. He's been consistently a solid head coach. Okay. He'll bring over his guys, but also, do I know for a fact that a young coordinator can come in, all right, I got to get the practice schedule going. I got to get the travel logistics. This is what I want to bring in my coaching staff. This is what I want. No, I'm not sure of that. But I'm willing to take a shot with a guy that I already know can do it. And listen, I told you yesterday, what was it going to be? 3 to 5 years, 5-year deal, $100 million. Hey, you throw the kitchen sink. It is a franchise-altering move. It is a franchise-altering move. There's no debate in this. Whether you guys can argue, Giant fans, the irony of this all. A couple weeks ago, you guys were killing me on the air because I said you don't tank in football. It's just ludicrous. It's comical. No. You don't tank. I don't want to hear this crap. I don't want to hear this nonsense. You play hard. You don't think when John Harbaugh or any of these coaches get fired or they're looking for landing spots, they look at all 32 teams. They take a step back, they look at it, and then they look at it in a vacuum. Okay. Were the Jets rolling over? Yeah. Were the Raiders rolling over? Yeah. Tennessee playing hard? Okay. What about the Giants? Snapping a slide, people in an uproar, winning 2 straight games to close the season. Now, ultimately, you guys might sit there and say, Q, you're reaching, you're stretching. No, I'm really not, because you've got a head coach and a maniac in Harbaugh that's trying to win preseason freaking games. Never loses in a preseason. He ultimately brings the winning culture, that mentality to a franchise, to a locker room that it's been missed. It's been missed. It's been missed. And I had a couple Giant fans today or earlier today reach out to me, and they're like, it's a solid hire. It's a solid hire. And I'm thinking to myself, hold on a second. No one's saying this team's going to make the playoffs. No one's saying this team's going to win the NFC East. But you go back to when the Giants brought in McAdoo. They finished that 2015 season 6-10. Then McAdoo comes in, and they're 11-5, and they surprise, okay? And they made the playoffs, and they lost on the road. That was a boat trip game, Miami. They lost on the road to Green Bay. Eli throws for close to 300. They should have won that game. All the drops by Beckham and Shepard and Cruz, fine. When everyone sits there and says, you can't fire a guy that just got your team to the playoffs, well, the next year they go 3-13, and McAdoo's 2-10 in 12 games. They fired him. And then they went to Spags. And then in 4 games, we realized Spags wasn't going to be the answer. So what do? They turn around and they hire this hot young coordinator guy, right, in Pat Shermer. 5-11, 4-12. Then what happens? Shermer's out. Then you turn around, hot young coordinator from the Belichick tree, Joe Judge, 6-10, 4-13. Then he's out. Hot coordinator from Buffalo, turning Josh Allen into an MVP caliber quarterback. Okay, 9-7-1. You make the playoffs. You win a road playoff game. Then 6-11. Then 3-14, then 4-13, gone after 10 games. So, at least give me my 10, 11, 12 wins a year, and then I'll roll the dice with John Harbaugh. I'll roll the dice with him because that's all you can do. That's all you can do. And credit to Joe Shane, whether he was submissive or not. Look, any team right now that would have grabbed a John Harbaugh, it is a franchise changing coaching hire. Now, once the dust settles, the smoke clears, the courtship's over, everyone's smiling during the press conference, he's winning the presser, he's no nonsense. Now you go to work because this team has been horrible. It hasn't been competitive. It just hasn't. They have not played competitive football. And I am hoping that the days of getting blown out, losing games 40-13, 35-16, getting blanked 21-0, 24-3, only scoring 10, 13, 17 points, giving up 30, 40, in some cases 45 plus. I hope all those days are gone. There's going to be growing pains. They're going to lose football games. But the mark of this move to me, the credibility, the no-nonsense approach, the steady the ship, calm the waters, bring in your guys. That's what he's going to do. He's going to bring in his coaching staff, first and foremost. We're opening up the checkbook. Do what you need to do. Priority number one, put out a good product, win some football games. Priority number 1B, win friggin' NFC East games. That's how you start to build back street credibility in the NFL, when you win divisional games. So to me, I love the move. I told you this was my go-to hire, and I'm excited, but I'm also realistic where you still have to play the game on Sunday, no matter what. You have to play the game on Sunday. You got to fix the roster. You got to fix the defense. You got to bring in your guys, but it's a hell of a move for the Giants, and it does change the complexion of the franchise. I mean, it just does. It just does. Now, is there going to be pressure on him to win right away? I mean, look, this team, if you go from 3 to 6 to 7 wins, you can't expect. There are certain aberrations in the NFL, right? And the fact that the Patriots were able to flip the script and turn it around, that's wonderful. I don't think this team can do it. And I'm just being honest and fully transparent. Maybe I'm a cynic. Maybe it's insecurity. Maybe it's the fact that they haven't won 3, 4, 5. I mean, that's pretty much what they won over the last 5, 6, 7 years. But it starts with winning games in the NFC East. It starts with figuring out a way how the hell to beat the Eagles, how to beat them consistently, how to beat them on the road, how to beat the Dallas Cowboys, getting that quarterback in position to make plays, building around that quarterback, building that line, fixing the defense, bringing in your guys. Look, Todd Monken is a coordinator that turned Lamar Jackson into a 2-time MVP, perennial MVP, 41 touchdowns, 4 picks. So he's coming over. They got to figure out what they're going to do on defense. But for all the talk, for the narrative of you got to go young, sometimes when you've been through it bad and it's really bad, sometimes you got to turn around and got to go a little old school to go forward. And always when these coaches get fired, they do get humbled a little bit. They do. They definitely get humbled. And they have to turn around. They got to make adjustments. And maybe you got to change your mentality with a couple things. Your line of thinking. I know it's never easy to do in today's NFL because everyone wants a winner. Everyone wants a winner. Go look at some of these teams right now that are still left standing in the playoffs for this weekend, the divisional round, which is, listen, if we get what we got last weekend in the wild card round, any type of competitiveness and high drama this weekend. But look, taking a little bit of time with a guy like McDermott, right? Shanahan, a little bit on the hot seat, now not. DeMeco Ryans, everyone was thinking the rose was off the bloom, but now not. You got a young guy in Vrabel. Here we go. I've been around the block. Now look at my team. Peyton, the retread, but won before. McVay has already won. Johnson, all these coaches bring something different to the table. They bring their own type of cachet, swagger, bravado, game planning. They're set in their ways, but also the good ones figure out a way to adapt. And sometimes you got to make that change late. Sometimes you got to pivot. Sometimes you got to pivot in life. Sometimes, you go from job to job to job. You're not happy. You're trying to find your niche. And then you realize, okay, you know what? Why is this happening? I'm repeating the same behavior. I gotta switch it up. Maybe I gotta submit a little bit. Maybe I can't always be that alpha male. And I think in this case, the fact that the GM who I've been critical of, who I'm not a fan of, basically helped close this deal. I got to give him credit. I felt there was no way the Giants can drop the ball here. The only way the Giants did not hire John Harbaugh is if John Harbaugh felt it wasn't a fit. So you wine him, you dine him, you sit him down with Dart. Eli speaks to him, Coughlin speaks to him, Brian Daboll, credit to you, you're fired, and yet you're talking about what it's like to work for the Giants, and here we got it. I 99% I knew this deal was going to come down. I knew it just made too much sense. It really did. Yeah, the little quirkiness with Miami and then Atlanta, but ultimately, he's built for the NFC East. But now you have to go out and you have to win football games. And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy because the NFC East, the Eagles are still the team to beat. Right? They're still the team to beat. And Dallas is always Dallas, and they've had, they basically smacked around the Giants for a long time. Washington, that's an ascending team, even though you had issues with Jaden Daniels, with the injuries. But it's a win-win. It's a home run. And as I said, I'm trying to temper the enthusiasm because I know ultimately you have to win games on a Sunday. But it does, in my estimation, this changes the complexion of the NFC East. It really does. Because as much as Eagles fans don't want to admit it, you look at what's going on with that franchise right now and the fact that you got to bring in another offensive coordinator. Howie Roseman talking about A.J. Brown and, guys that want to play football. That's basically, hey, open up the phones and let me know what we can get for this guy. Jalen Hurts and the rift and the back and forth, Nick Sirianni. And I still have my theories on that. As Howie and Nick are closing out their yearly presser, right? The State of the Union. That team is going to have a very fascinating offseason. The Dallas Cowboys, how much longer they want to go with Dak. And then Washington, they just fired coordinators. So all these teams are in flux. I mean, look, Harbaugh's bringing over his OC. Now who are you going to go out for a defensive coordinator? First things first. First order of business is, after you've had that initial press conference, you friggin' go to work. And if they would have dropped the ball, I would have been despondent. I would have. And I know there's a sentiment, Kevin C, big time Giants fan, Tom's River Q. I like the hire, but I listen, you guys are entitled to to have the reservations. You're entitled to that. That's your opinion. But I know what this franchise needed. And man, they need it. They need it. They need it. They need it to figure out a way to get out of their own friggin' way. And this has got to do it. All right, 3:38. We're going to open it up on a Thursday. A lot of sports talk on this edition of On Cue. NFL thoughts, your thoughts on Harbaugh. You like the fit, you don't like the fit, pros, cons, you name it, we'll throw it out. I refuse to allow anyone to rain on my parade today. It's not going to happen on a Thursday. It's not. By the way, we're powered by our good friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee. 20% off your first purchase, BYP20. Divisional round, yes, it is among us. Buffalo, Denver. I am torn between two lovers on that one. 49ers in Seattle. Texans, Pats, Rams, Bears. Saturday, Sunday. We got you covered. We'll give you updated lines. We'll start to preview these games. Oh, by the way, Lloyd Vance and I dropped a new edition of Back Your Play. That's on the YouTube channel. Audio will be uploaded on Spotify, Amazon, and Apple iTunes as well. I see a lot of Giant fans chiming in. Oh, mama. You are allowed to be giddy. You are allowed to be giddy. And I'm telling you right now, I will not. I will not allow anyone to bring me down on this Thursday. It's not happening. It's not happening. You know what's really bad? What's really just a disgrace? When you're on a text thread with a bunch of your friends, and the majority of the text thread are Eagles fans. And to me, it's like, you shouldn't even comment. If you want to congratulate me, if you've been kicking me down for 10 years, you can sit there and say, hell of a hire. Hell of a hire. It's going to be fun to watch. But no, that's not the case with the thread I'm on. It's not the case at all. It's just rats. Rats just decide to just jump in and start nibbling at the cheese of my happiness and try to basically make me feel bad for this hire. Like, figure out a way to turn around and just poo poo it. Not happening. It's not happening. I will not allow it. No, I won't. It's not on Thursday. Not on a throw it out Thursday. It's a great hire. And sometimes you gotta give the guy what he wants. You gotta give the guy what he wants. Listen, when you don't win divisional games, that's not good. When you get, thumped by the same opponent year in and year out, the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles have owned the New York Giants. They have owned the New York Giants. So when they're winning 2, 3, 4 games and you can't win divisional games, that gets coaches fired. You got to win your division to be competitive. You have to. Then you figure out a way. Can I squeeze another 4, 5, 6 wins? Oh, that gets me to 10. I got an opportunity to make the playoffs. Sal chimes in, Baltimore fan. Q, I'm not going to tell you good luck with the hire because you know I'm a big-time Harbaugh fan, even though at times he gets a little too conservative. I don't like how it ended in Baltimore, but I'll say this. You definitely have a proven winner. Yeah, but that's all you asked for. After all the other muck. Look, the McVays, the Johnsons, it's just these guys are hard to come by. They're hard to come by. Now that shoe has dropped, you got all these other head coaching vacancies. And let's be honest, the fact that Harbaugh met with the Giants first, and I told you this yesterday, I'm going to woo you right away. I'm not even going, the flirtation, I'm telling you, we're going on trips, whatever ring you want. Here we go. The best meals. We'll go all over the place. We'll hang out. We'll go vacation in the islands. You don't even need to look anywhere else. That's exactly what they did. That is exactly what they did. And the fact that the decision was made and they're ironing out the details, it just speaks to how they were not able to not drop the ball. Right. And like I said, I'm not, there's absolutely, you guys are not, you will not disrupt my happiness, my joy. I will not allow it on a Thursday. I won't. I won't allow it. We'll get to your comments on the other side. Don't forget, we're powered by our good friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee. I'm just corner of my eye looking at the comments. 3 Brooks Bourbon, get ready with tea. Also, I don't even, I forgot half my sponsors. Play It Again Sports. Thank you very much. Play It Again Sports 2 locations, Deffert and Mount Laurel. Check them out, 1450 Clements Ridge Road. They'll give you cash right on the spot. 343. Yeah, we fired off a little earlier today because sometimes we do have to get off the air early, but I want to get the fill-in because you guys, like I said, you guys basically, you keep the car on the straight line. That's what you guys do. I mean, is that even you guys are more than just the guys that are in the trenches, right? Forget about the factory workers. You guys are basically doing all the heavy lifting. I just turn on the mic and I get to banter with you. And I appreciate that. That's why we like to fire off when we can a little early and have a little fun. All right, 343, quick timeout. A lot of comments coming in. Yes, we will read them off, good, bad, or indifferent. I can tell already. You guys will not bring me down on this Thursday. 30 seconds. Back right after this. All right, 3:45 on a Thursday. Let's rip through these comments. A Thursday edition of On Cue. Rich Quinones here, coming at you inside the friendly confines. SR 1029 FM. The Game Remote Studios, part of the Coastal Sports Digital Network. Also, you can get me on YouTube, X, Kicks, Rumble, TikTok, Rich Q on the mic. Very easy to get social with me as well. And by the way, to the new listeners, greatly appreciate it. Even the ones yesterday that were actually firing off messages that have now filtered in my YouTube account. You guys were spending $2 to fire Aaron Glenn. I don't know where the hell you guys came from, but thank you very much. Not bad. We'll take a little coin. We'll take a little coin. Man chimes in. Little shot at Vinny there. First Vinny. There we go. Appreciate that, man. Scott says, congratulations, Q Harbaugh. First order of business, solid starter, backup quality QB. I know he will help the defense. I think Winston's going to be fine as the backup. Jackson Dart obviously is going to be the franchise quarterback, right? And we know that. Now, here's the thing. Now you've got, to your point, Scott, now you've got a coach in place. See, you don't make this hire and fire John Harbaugh in 3 years. No. You want to set it up where Harbaugh and Dart, the next 5, 6, 7, you believe you got a franchise quarterback for the next 10 years and a nucleus, right, of young core. Now you got to go out, you got to mold this young man, and you got to figure out a way to make it work. And the one thing the Giants, you'll see this when teams start to turn it around, right? You can take all the teams that you guys follow at one point or another. As a fan, your team might have struggled. You might have had a lull. You might have had a bad stretch, right? So the majority of the fans that tune in, Eagles fans, Giant fans, Cowboys fans, obviously we got the mixed bag, 49ers, right? We got Browns, we got Steelers / Fugazi Jags fans, right? We got all that kind of stuff. Miami fan. Like, we have displaced fans, Ravens fans, all Raiders. We got displaced fans that constantly tune in, that'll comment, that'll chime in, and I love it because it's not supposed to be East-centric, right? But you guys already know my background, but we like to get that national feel and hear from you guys, your fanism, the fan bases. Point is, we can all agree we've all had lulls as fans. We've had issues with our franchises. At some point, one point in time, they might have been bad. And then you get that hire or you have that draft pick and it gives you hope. And now when you start to turn it around, as you guys kind of already pointed out, like the first order of business, right? You win football games. It's about bringing a mentality that has not been there. Like you start a new job and you're the new kid on the block, and now all of a sudden your sales manager, your manager was thinking about maybe retiring, and you bring in a little juice. You got a little swagger. You're clearing out the room. You're walking in and everyone, eyes are on you. You're injecting life into that supervisor, into that manager. You're going out with a girl 3, 4, 5 years and it's getting a little stale, right? And it's kind of routine right now. Or, you got a little spark. You take that quick little, let's, like that, jump on a plane and go somewhere. We'll fly out to the islands real quick, spur of the moment, and then you rekindle that spark, right? A little passion, it's all ignited. This has been a downtrodden franchise. They've had no passion. They've had no juice. They've had no energy. They've had no spark. Nothing. It's been bad. The Browns know it. The Jets know it. The Bucks back in the day know it. The Raiders know it. The Giants know it. Tennessee's going through it. Now you have an infusion where right away, as soon as an individual walks into the room, you feel like, you know what? Shit. We got a chance. We got a chance. We're going to be competitive. This is how it starts. This is how it starts. I got a little life. I got a little juice. I'm feeling a little spry. And the players understand that. They know. They see it. They look at the resume, the track record, the body of work, and that gets them what? More motivated, more inspired, more ambitious. What do we always hear at the press conference? Man, these guys are getting ready to run through a wall. You don't need to win the press conference. You got to believe in the guy that's leading you. And the guy that's leading you has got to believe in you. And yes, sometimes it fizzles out. It fizzles out. It was a disconnect late in his career with Baltimore, Tomlin with Pittsburgh, Andy Reid with the Philadelphia Eagles, Coughlin with the Giants, Jimmy Johnson with the Cowboys. We've seen it. We have seen it. But now I'm bringing in a guy. Listen, I can show us how to be competitive. I can show us how to win football games. I can teach you. I can lead. I can educate. I can reinvigorate. I can show you and lead by example. Hey, man, in the fourth quarter, we're not blowing this lead. And I know everyone looks at a guy like Harbaugh and they're like, oh, man, look at all these. It's nitpicking on this day. It's nitpicking. I am so friggin' tired of losing games 35 to friggin' 13. I'm so tired of 28-6. I'm so tired of the Philadelphia Eagles going up the turnpike and just overrunning that stadium and smacking the Giants around for the past 15 years, or Dak Prescott never losing to the New York Giants. I'm tired of this team not winning NFC East games and rolling over like a bunch of dogs and going through coach after coach after coach. McAdoo in his oversized Denny's menu playbook, winning 11 games and then flaming out. Shermer, that clown, coming in and benching Eli. Joe Judge, the bully who didn't do dick. And then you get McAdoo who's screaming at everyone. Like, I don't want that stuff anymore. I don't. I'm tired of it. As a fan, you get fed up. You get absolutely fed up and you're like, no, enough is enough. Enough is enough. I want winning football. I want to be able, for once, to come on the air and say there's meaningful football past friggin' October, which I haven't been able to do in a long time. You guys know that. What's the running joke on the air? It's October. Before the pumpkins are out, the season's over. It's a disgrace. Winning mentality. Winning mentality. Moncton coming in as OC. Yes. And I don't have a problem with that. Look, when you hire a guy like this and you throw money at him, you're going to give him some power and he's going to have final say. Go. Listen, you're going to sit there and criticize Moncton. Why? Because they didn't run the ball. Did I criticize that coaching staff? Yeah, against New England with Derrick Henry. But I've seen what he does with that offense. They utilize the tight end. They can run the football. He turned Lamar Jackson into an unbelievable quarterback. I mean, Lamar Jackson was a good quarterback. He turned him into a great quarterback. So yeah, I'm really fascinated, interested, excited to see what he's going to do with Jackson Dart. I really am, because they want to throw the football down the field. So maybe you're also bringing in a guy like Jim Lenhart. You know, defensive coordinator, I don't know, with Wink Martindale. Remember, Wink kind of left, had to blow with Joe Shane, kind of walked out of the building, stormed out of the building. Do you go that route? It's the NFL. We've seen retreads, in that regard. But I think right now you got a little boost, and Jackson Dart, maybe, if everything falls into place and the kid plays smart football, you can turn this kid into a star quarterback, a legit, bona fide franchise quarterback. They're going to throw the football. I mean, just look at his track record. They're going to throw the football. Over the last, even his last year with Cleveland, I think they were 23rd. But then you go to Baltimore and you got the pieces in place. 1, 5, 6. I mean, top 10 in offense, and it helps when you got some playmakers. So, yeah, you're going to bring over your guys. Yeah. I don't think they're going to hire Wink, though. I just don't. I don't think they're going to hire Wink. I don't. I really don't. Get rid of Shane. Shane had a hand in this. Joe Shane had a hand in this. And here's the other thing. And you know me, I've been very critical of Joe Shane. Very critical of Joe Shane. I was worried about the potential dynamic of giving a guy like Harbaugh the keys to the castle, right? Give him the keys to the castle. Go ahead. But now bear with me. Let's flip it for a second, right? The other side of the coin. Yes. Has Joe Shane had a lot of misses? Absolutely. Does he come off a certain way that probably rubs you the wrong way? Yeah. Some bad contracts? Check. But Shane also had a pretty damn good draft, and that's a nucleus of young talent and players. And that's also an appealing aspect to this job. That can be that carrot that you dangle in front of a guy like John Harbaugh. If the Giants didn't have Jackson Dart, Scadaboo, Neighbors, Tracy, Carter, guys that Joe Shane drafted, Wandale Robinson, John Harbaugh is not looking at the Giants as a landing spot. He's not. And it's really because Shane drafted Jackson Dart. So that's his draft pick. That is his draft pick. I mean, they boom at the hip. Now, Thibodeau looks right now like a bust. I hate to say it. Deonte Banks looks like a bust. Okay. I mean, the Giants turned around in 2022. They drafted Thibodeau number 5. They drafted Evan Neal. That's a miss. That was a bust. Belton, McFadden, Eric Gray, that was in the 5th round, not good. But they also drafted Daniel Bellinger and Flott. Turned out to be pretty damn good players. 2023, Banks, because Wink Martindale wanted Banks. He saw the athleticism, the skill set, the physicality. This guy's going to be a shutdown corner. Hasn't worked out. But they also drafted John Michael Schmidt. Okay, C. Jalen Hyatt, bust. Eric Gray, bust. Trey Hawkins, bust. So he had a lot of misses. A lot. Your 3rd draft, Malik Neighbors, which, again, if you think about it, okay, you got a big-time player. And then, obviously, as I just mentioned, when you go back, Jackson Dart, Scadaboo, Carter, Tracy, Theo Johnson, those are the pros, the pluses, the carrots lined up that basically just enticed Harbaugh. And you also know that he's going to have his hand in the cookie jar. He's going to have his say. He's going to have his hand in the cookie jar. So Shane is not going anywhere. He's not. If anything, he might have built up a little more equity in the bank. Thank God the Giants did something worthy. Yeah. I mean, I think we kind of knew it was just going to be the perfect fit, right? New headphones, who this? A.K.A. He 12 Man, A.K.A. Heisman, A.K.A. Steeler Nation, A.K.A. Duval, also known as Vince. I know, Vince, because we got the overseas stuff, and I'm trying to bang out a couple hours a day for you guys. I mean, last night was brutal. 5:30, I thought maybe I'll count sheep, but then, you get the get the little, the updates, which is always a good thing. And in this case, Tom and Summers point, Q, enjoy the moment. We're still going to kick your ass. See, that's what I'm saying. See, I got a rat Eagle fan that wants to chime in on the show. Worry about your offensive coordinator. Worry about your friggin' quarterback. Worry about your head coach. Seriously, worry about your head coach. I got news for the friggin' Philadelphia Eagles fans. I got news. We basically just put the NFC on notice. We just put the NFC East on notice. Seriously. I'm not going to sit here and tell you 12, 13, 14 wins. I'm not going to do that. That's goofy talk. Then you guys are going to think I put something in my fresh roasted coffee, which I didn't. A little Splenda. Man, I can't go straight black with it. It's hard. Made a little Splenda. But I don't need to hear from Eagles fans today. Raining on the parade. I don't want to hear it. It's nonsense. Go away. Like shoo. You just got bounced. You lasted one more week more than the Cowboys, Washington, and Giants. You can't say diddly. You can't. You just can't. You no-showed and rolled over like a bunch of dogs at home against a team, all due respect, had nobody. You should have beat them. And now you need another offensive coordinator. And now you got former players criticizing the performance of your quarterback. And you got a head coach who, mind you, if you bring in a McDaniel or Stefanski, watch it blow up in his face. And we're going to talk about that a little later on. Now comes player analysis, examination of the free agent market. Then from there, you figure out your draft strategy. Yeah, you have to. You got to talk about, cap space. I never try to catch anyone off guard. Not happening. No. I think he couldn't wait, been smiling since the news broke this morning. Nah, I mean, listen, I typically smile all the time. You get up, it's a good day. You get up, it is a good day. What if the Eagles turn A.J. Brown into a top 10 pick by trading him to, say, the Browns with the defensive talent at the top draft? That's a Howie special. I don't believe the Eagles are moving A.J. Brown. At least not yet. They'll field calls. They'll field calls, but what are you giving up for A.J. Brown? I think Howie Roseman's comments, that's kind of an indictment, right? Um, Hey G chimes in. Q, I'm not going to lie. I'm starting to think, to me, the Eagles fans who don't want A.J. Brown must be new fans. There's absolutely no way you sit there and suffer through what we've had at wide receiver spot historically, and you're not grateful for this guy. It's not even a question about being grateful, right? Alshon Jeffrey had a little juice to him, a little edge. He's beloved. Now, obviously, he dropped the ball against the Saints. That was the pick. But, he is part of that first Super Bowl team. A.J. Brown was part of their second Super Bowl win last year. Jeffrey was no nonsense. Every diva wide receiver has a little edge to him. But I don't recall Jeffrey ever really dogging it. I'd have to maybe go back. Like when Howie Roseman comes out and says, quote, "It's hard to find great players in the NFL, and AJ's a great player. That's what we're going out and looking for when we go out in free agency and the draft is trying to find great players who love football, and he's that guy." So that would be my answer. So he's that guy. So that tells me, okay, what do you want for him? Like, look, he's going to be on the block, but Howie is basically just pumping him up a little bit and pumping up the leverage. You got an all-world wide receiver in A.J. Brown. It's clear he's not on the same page with Nick Sirianni. He wasn't on the same page with Kevin Patullo, and he certainly wasn't on the same page with Jalen Hurts. I mean, what are you got to be careful here. You got to be careful because teams that trade players like this at certain points of their career, you don't know what you're getting back. You don't. I mean, can it be kind of like the dog Randy Moss before, all of a sudden kind of resurrecting? Right? You just don't know what you're getting. You got to really understand what you're dealing with and what am I willing to part ways with? No one's questioning his talent, but he also dogged it. We kind of saw with DK Metcalf, kind of dogged a little bit, short armed some passes, didn't run crisp routes. Look, the numbers are staggering. In 62, 63, 64 games, he's got well over 5,000 yards, 32 touchdowns, and he's got close to 340 receptions. That's an elite wide receiver. It doesn't mean he's going to be elite wide receiver in this offense with the Philadelphia Eagles, at least not anymore. And the fact that you have Nick Sirianni that basically made a beeline to him down the sideline, what was he waiting for A.J. Brown to do? Like, you got a head coach running up to your all-pro wide receiver, basically grill to grill. What is that going to serve? Like, okay, we all saw it we saw it on film. He short-armed passes. He ran lazy routes. Then you know what you do? You're Nick Sirianni. You don't even need to be so animated. You sit his ass down and you bench him the rest of the game, or you bench him for a couple series. I don't care if it's a playoff game. Was Sirianni wrong for kind of getting in his grill, showing him up like that? Yeah. Was Brown wrong because of his lack of effort in a big spot? Absolutely. And then late in the game when the ball's thrown him on third down, he can't catch it? Do you want that headache? I just don't know. I feel as though the Eagles right now, with this quarterback, it's a very volatile situation. Now, as a Giant fan, I'm loving it because I think it's about to be a house of cards. I really do. Joe D in South Philly chimes in. Q, you keep mentioning the offensive coordinator. What makes you think any coordinator they bring in is going to threaten Sirianni? In my experience, anytime you bring in coordinators that have had head coaching experience and they are trying to rebuild their resume and they're trying to add a nice little check, a green check mark in the positive. They're checking off the box for the positive. They come in understanding, I got one more shot to get it done. If I can make it here, I got an opportunity then to get back in the coaching ranks. So you bring in a Stefanski or a McDaniel or a Kingsbury, and you've got a head coach that we all believe is a micromanager, or I should say just a manager, pardon me, a manager of the process, a manager of the game. Basically, or let me take it a step further, hands off, because what does he really do, Nick Sirianni? I don't think he's a very good head coach. I don't think he has a feel for the game. He doesn't understand adjustments. At times I think he's more swayed or oohed and awed by the team itself and or the fans as opposed to situational football. And I think he's a freaking clown. So now you bring in the McDaniels, the Kubiaks, the Stefanskis of the world, and I'm telling you right now, they're like, well, wait a second. If we can turn this offense around with these pieces and they go from scoring 18 to 23 to 28, my stock's going to continue to rise. But if we're losing football games because of the defense, or we're losing football games because this head coach has no idea what the hell he's doing, and all of a sudden we're 3-6, 3-7, but we're scoring 28, and the coach's ass is on the hot seat, I know for a fact I might be in an opportunity to be that interim head coach. Well, we're 3-8. We're going to go in a different direction. Thanks, Nick. Here you go. Kevin Stefanski is going to be the interim head coach. Mike McDaniel will be the interim head coach for the rest of the year. Now I got 6, 7, 8 games to prove my worth. Like, to me, if I'm Nick Sirianni, I would be worried. I believe Nick Sirianni is on borrowed time. I really do. And it sounds ludicrous to even say that because he won a Super Bowl last season. But let's just kind of go back. 10-1, flame out, 6-7, go on the road, get blown out by Tampa. Come back, win the Super Bowl. Okay. Did you really have a hand in it? Saquon, 2,000 yards, the weapons, the defense, the coordinators that you had to help you. And then what happens this year? You flamed out. You never got off the mat if you're Nick Sirianni and the Philadelphia Eagles. Don't tell me for one moment that Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, they're monitoring what's going around in the NFL. They have to be because they know they need an offensive coordinator. But I also believe they're probably thinking to themselves, well, yeah, Nick, he's a nice kid and we got a ring. And yeah, but is he really the guy going forward? You bring in one of these other guys as coordinators to put a little pressure on him, and now he's feeling the heat, and maybe he's not coaching the way he typically does. Maybe he feels he's coaching for his job, a little more pressure, not making sound decisions. They slow, they come out of the gate slow, as they typically do, and he's on the hot seat. If I fire him, at least I know I got a coordinator that can step in and be that interim head coach, just in case. So I don't want to hear from Eagles fans today. I don't. What can you possibly say? Yeah, I'm giddy. I'm giddy back in the saddle. Why not? Why not? Are you winking at me? DB? Oh, wink Martindale? All right. I'll wink. There you go. See, we got it. We got it in the bag, my friend, right? We got it in the bag. Q, did the Giants were really competitive this year? Harbaugh hiring should definitely get to 7+ wins first year for sure. I'm not even going to put a number on it. And you guys are not going to box me in. The Death Star Mike, there's no bets involved in January. Let me enjoy the day. I cannot sit here and tell you this team is going to go from 3, 4 wins to 8. God knows what happens if the quarterback, God forbid, gets hurt or they lose players. In a perfect world, if they're healthy and they fix the defense, they will be much more competitive. And the other thing is, for all these goofballs that are sitting here telling me, well, they were so close with some of these games this year. Let me caution you. Let me caution you. And let me take you down memory lane for a moment. They opened up the season with a no-show against Washington. They blew a game that they had against the Cowboys. And we knew Russell Wilson was done, even though he threw for a lot of yards. He had a horrible pick in overtime. The defense stunk. They no-showed against Kansas City. They start the kid against the Chargers and they win. Then they go on the road as favorites against a winless team and the rookies play like rookies and then they lose. And then they come back and they wax the Philadelphia Eagles 34-17. Their most competitive game, their most complete win of the season. Then they blow the leads and then we see obviously Daves is gone. You blow the game against Denver. You get outclassed in the second half against the Eagles. You get outclassed in the second half against the 49ers. You can't close it out against the Bears. You can't close it out against the Packers. You can't close it out against the Lions. So just kind of bear with me with that. So what if, these games that everyone's sitting there saying, these are close games. They're right there. They're right there. So what happens if they start winning these close games? Now, obviously, you got some wins under your belt. But if you go the first 10 games, so Washington, Dallas, Kansas City, Chargers is 4, Saints, Eagles, Denver, Eagles, 49ers. So that's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That Bears game. What if they beat Denver? What if they beat the Saints? What if they beat the Bears? What if they beat the 49ers? Then you know what? Brian Daboll is not fired. Brian Daboll doesn't lose his job. I mean, that's just the reality of it. So they're really close. That could be the case. But I needed them. I told you this. The faster they lost games and blew leads and showed they were the same team from the past decade, get this clown out of here. And that's what they did after 10 games. So you can't have it both ways. And the whole, they tanked. And yeah, but they won 2 games straight to close out the season. You're building upon something. Vince chimes in. Only have 3 years to show and prove. So good hire, but the clock. Get out of here. See, that's what I'm saying. Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. I don't want to hear it. Get out. I don't want to hear that nonsense today. Get out. No. You don't hire Harbaugh and you give him 3 years. They want Harbaugh around for the next 6, 7. They want this to be his last stop in the NFL. They want him to be this last stop. Just stop with the nonsense. Wouldn't be surprised to see 10 wins next year. I would temper the enthusiasm. I love the passion. I love the energy. I love the enthusiasm. But I would temper it. Man says, Minnie, you think if Harbaugh goes 8, 9, 10, 7, 7, 10, he's going in 3 years. No. Stop. Giants have had the best 40 years, win one every decade. I mean, again, what are we doing here? This is what I said. I asked you guys nicely today on a Thursday. I asked you nicely when I came on the air. I wanted good juju today. Listen, I'm being realistic. I understand where I'm at. I understand where this franchise is at. But can I have a moment? Can you give me 10 minutes? Can you give me 15 minutes? Can I have 5 minutes? Can I get 10 minutes? Can I get something? I can't get anything. I can't get anything from you guys. And this is why I have to be very careful, because I'm trying to peel back the curtain. I'm trying to let you guys in a little bit. And this is what you do. I told you, happy Harbaugh day. I don't want to hear it. All right, quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side. A lot of comments coming in. We will start to break down these divisional matchups as well. Oh, my goodness. Why are the Eagles fans flooding my thread? Hang in there, guys. We're going to rip through your comments. Back in 60. Keep it locked in. Thursday edition on Q, 13 past 4 o'clock hour. All right, 4:14 on a Thursday edition on Q. Rich Quinones here. Hey, good stuff with the subs to the channel. Thank you. Don't forget, you can catch us on the YouTube channel, Rumble, Kicks, SR 1029 FM The Game, Coastal Sports Digital Network, LinkedIn, Kicks, as I mentioned. We'll have a new platform we will announce mañana. You can get social with me. Very easy to do at Rich Q on Q on on X, TikTok, Rich Q on the mic. I can't believe, you guys just want to test me. You just want to test me. What do we got here? They've had no nutrients. They had no ego powers. We trying to stump me with lines on a Thursday? Is that what we're doing? Come on. I agree with that point. Just because it gets stale in one city doesn't mean it will fall in a new city. Thank you. Now we're agreeing on something, right? Now we're finally agreeing on something. Money Mike, my man, Pots and Pans. How do you feel about Monk and his OC? Is he a good fit for the Giants? I think so. Look, Harbaugh is going to bring in his guys. Look what he did with Lamar Jackson. There's always going to be a sentiment of the talking heads, the media, the fan base. It's just natural that see a move like this and they're waiting for the other shoe to drop. It can't work out. There's no way it's going to work. Who says what? Says who? Andy Reid took the Philadelphia Eagles to 4 straight NFC championships, finally got over the hump, got to Super Bowl, had some brutal playoff losses. When they lost to the Rams on the road, the greatest show on turf, that second time around with Warner and everything, with that Rams team, I should say, they weren't ready. They were not ready. They had a horrible loss in the playoffs to Carolina. Ricky Manning Jr. intercepted McNabb several times. They had a horrible loss to close out the vet. Bishop takes that horrible angle on Joe Jurevicius, who's still running. And Rondé Barber returns it the other way, right? They've had horrible losses. Their last game under the Andy Reid regime, they lost 42-7 against the Giants. Randall, what was the wide receiver? That escapes my name right now for the Giants. What was his name? Oh, my God. He had like 170-something yards receiving that day. He turned out to be a bust. But point being is, it was a bad last run for Andy Reid. It was bad. It wasn't good football. And you knew his time was coming to an end. Did everyone sit there and say, oh, my goodness, they're never going to be, that was a great run. Andy Reid's never going to have success like that ever again in his life. Really? Because the last time I checked, Andy Reid goes to Kansas City, and correct me if I'm wrong, he's done pretty good for himself, has he not? So even that last year, 2011, 2012, they lost to the Giants 42-7. The game was an embarrassment. Guys quit late. They quit on Andy Reid. Absolutely quit on Andy Reid. It was Ruben Randall. Thank you. It was a disgrace. But Andy Reid landed on his feet. And Andy Reid, his run with the Eagles, you're going to compare it to what Harbaugh's had with the Ravens? Now, different conversation when he goes to Kansas City. But point is, you never know how it's going to work out. You can be this cast off, and then boom, he goes to Kansas City. They win 11 games his first season. Every year Andy Reid has been with Kansas City, they have won 10 or more games, except for twice. I'll take my shots with Harbaugh. Yeah, man. Unless he's a Super Bowl or losing NFC Championship, he's going midway. No. I'm done. This is where I'm done with you, Vince. I'm done with you today. I'm done. I'm going to tell you why. Because I came on the air, and think about the last several days I had. Let's kind of go back in time, shall we? I'm sitting there Sunday watching the Eagles lose to the 49ers. I'm giddy. On the air Monday, starting to think about Harbaugh, the little flirtation, the courting him Tuesday into a woosah Wednesday, giving you good content, opinions. We're having fun. I'm feeling good about myself. Then they hire him today. Think about the bag of emotions for Q over the last 24, 72 hours. Last 3 or 4 games. The friggin' Bunker Boys done. The Eagles done. The Smug Sirianni done. Get out of here. You went out with a whimper, and the Giants got their man. I refuse, Vince. I refuse to have you rain on my parade. It's not happening. It's not happening. I won't have it happen. I refuse. And you know why? I don't know if you guys can hear this. You know why, Vince? When the haters come out, this is what we do, Vince. We just fire it off like this, baby. We go a little old school. And we got to remind people about this, Vince. Last night I had the strangest dream. I sailed away to China in a little rowboat to find you. You said you had to get your laundry clean. This is for all the haters with the Harbaugh hiring. What does that mean? This is me right now. Ain't never gonna break in my stride. Ain't nothing gonna slow me down. Not you. Not happening. Ain't nothing gonna break in my stride. Ha ha! You know it, Vince. Giants are coming in the NFC East. Not happening, baby. Not happening. The tide has changed. Listen to the song. Matthew Wilder says it. Wait for it. NFC East, Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas, Washington, running so fast. I'm telling you right now, you will not break my stride. You will not get on me. I will not allow it to happen today. Tom, Joe D, Sarge, Franny, Vince, not happening. It will not happen on this day. This is a happy Harbaugh day. It's a happy day. It's a Harbaugh day. It's a giving day. It's a thank you day because finally I have the guy that I wanted. And I'm going to roll the dice with him. I am rolling the dice with Harbaugh. And the other thing is this. You should be happy for me, to be quite honest. You really should. You should be happy because I've suffered. I've suffered too long. I mean, if anything, you've guys seen it. I'm over here screaming during the NFL season. I got to go fishing. I gotta fish or cut bait. I got to do that because it's so bad. And you guys sit there and you mock and you laugh. My seasons are over in October. But not anymore, Vince. You're never to slow me down. Oh, no. I got to keep on moving. What do you say there, Giant fans? Keep it running. I got to keep on moving. Watch this part. Ready? Do. Go ahead, Kiki. I see you in the background. Do. Let's clean it up now. Bring it home. Boo, 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 boo. She said, never met a girl like you. Work me over. Not happening. No, I'm telling you right now, this team, I'm telling you right now, this team will be a playoff team in 2 years. Not next year. You mark the tape. Stop laughing at me, guys. Mark the tape right now. This team will be a playoff team. They will be a playoff team. I'm working on my sweat back here with my fresh roasted coffee. They're going to be a playoff team. And I refuse to have anyone slow me down. It's not happening. What do we got here? Wow, a resident Eagles fan tape marker has been MIA since I guess we'll just have to see how it goes. I don't know what to tell you. Embarrassing. So, Dart, we know, is Dable's pick, but let's be honest. The GM of note on the record, it's Joe Schoen. I know what you're saying, and I agree with you 100%, right? Because Dable also wanted Jaden Daniels. But the GM of record of note is Joe Schoen. So, yes, you're right. But, he did ultimately as a GM, you look at those picks, and they're under him. Money Mike says, not worried. There you go. See, I like this. Money Mike comes down with this, right? Not worried about the Eagles. Jalen Hurts will forever hold them back. He limits their entire offense, beside from winning the Super Bowl. But I know it's exactly what you're saying. Chino got to be very happy today. Let's go get it. Yep. I am happy for you as well. And all the resident GFam chiming in. Christina as well on X, knocking us down too. Who do you like for OC or DC? Morris or Shula? I'll tell you, in a perfect world, I would love Brian Flores. But I don't think that's happening. And, Pierce, no. Pierce is not going to, their Giants aren't going to hire Antonio Pierce. Look, you got to wait and see how it plays out on a Sunday because all this is fun. We're having fun. It's back and forth. And you got other coaches, other teams that obviously need landing spots. But the big fish was reeled in. And it would have been a bad look knowing that they won the last 2 games, they lost the top spot, number 1 overall draft pick, missed out on equity and capital, and then you miss out on John Harbaugh. I think Flores, to me, you got to spend a little more on that defense, but you got some building blocks. We know that. It is officially a thawed out Thursday. It is. It is. It is a. It's definitely. That's a great. By the way, you can't go wrong with that song. You can't. It's basically saying, yeah, you're not going to rain on my parade. You're not going to slow me down. No, no. Now, I don't know why I was taking a rowboat to China, but whatever. Harbaugh is the perfect coach to help reset the culture and establish the identity of the Giants team with Dart. Yes, and that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. It's all about finding an identity. And the good teams, the teams that are coached well, we know what their identities are. I'm glad you enjoyed them. We know what their identity is, right? Whether they're a passing team, a defensive team. Look at these teams in the playoffs. We know the Rams are still an offensive team, but New England, Denver, the Texans, what's their identity? Where do they hang their hat? It's all about defense. You know, the Bears maybe a little bit of a mixed bag. The 49ers, a little bit of a mixed bag. Seattle, we know that their identity is defense. So some of these teams right now that are desperate, that are clinging to life, they need a head coach to come in and clean up the nonsense. You got to figure out what the hell is your identity. When we think of team A, B, and C, back in the day, what were the Giants? You're going to play defense, you're going to run the friggin' football. Parcells, Coughlin, play defense, run the football. You know, the Philadelphia Eagles, back in the Jimmy Johnson, defense. Jim Johnson and that defense. The Dallas Cowboys, offense, right? 49ers, offense. West Coast offense. Greatest show on turf, offense. Some of these other teams, even when Harbaugh was winning in Baltimore, you know, having these Hall of Fame players, having Ray Lewis late in his career, having a quarterback in Joe Flacco winning a Super Bowl, like you knew what their teams were, and they played in arguably the toughest division in all of football, the AFC North. I mean, teams are just battling in the elements, divisional rivalries. So what's the identity that you're bringing over? To me, I think right now, they've always historically been a defensive-minded team, but now you've got some players on offense to play with, some toys. 5th overall pick. If he's on the board, and by all accounts he should be, it's probably going to be the kid from Clemson. It's probably going to be the kid, and the name escapes. What's the kid's name? Tate, the kid from Clemson, the wide receiver. I think that's the route they go, because you want to give Jackson Dart another weapon. I'm sorry, was it? Yeah, the kid isn't, or I'm hearing, and you guys are, I'm sure you guys are just lock, stock, and barrel with the draft. The kid Tyson out of Arizona State. If he's there at 5, because you know the Raiders are going to go with a quarterback. It's Mendoza. That's a done deal. The Jets, knowing the Jets, they're probably going to go defense. They'll probably go defense. They'll probably go linebacker. I don't see Arizona going offense. They need to go defense. So you might look at that edge, the edge rusher. Now, Tennessee, and I'm sorry, it's Ohio State, the kid Tate. Pardon me. Tennessee might get another weapon for Cam Ward. If Tate is there and the Titans don't grab him, then he's right there for the Giants. But it also plays out, you'll get 2 wide receivers, 3 wide receivers gone the first 10 picks. So it might be Tate. It could be Tyson. And I'm okay with that if Tate's not there. They're probably going to get Jackson Dart, another weapon. Sarge, Q, I had to pull over. Were you singing in the... Yes, I was. Because I'm happy today. That's all. The Eagles lost and the Giants got Harbaugh. Yeah, I'm sure she's ecstatic too. All right, 4:30. We'll get in more comments. All right, we got divisional round this weekend, gang. What are you guys thinking? Do we see any upsets on the table right now that we like? Do we see any upsets? Like, I'm torn, right? I got to be careful here because I already picked the Denver Broncos to win it all, and they're playing my guy Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills. So, that's a tough one, man. That's going to be, these games are great. Now, would we agree that the remaining teams right now in the playoffs, the 8 teams that are left, would we agree those are the best 8 teams left in the postseason? Like the best 8 teams overall, like it laid out perfectly, like the Bills, the Broncos, um, 49ers, Seattle, Texans, Pats, Rams, Bears. That's not bad. These are great games. And there's some movement with the lines. Denver and the Broncos, the opening line. Seattle sitting at 7. So I gave my predictions on Back Your Play. I gave my picks. And I'll give them here. I don't care. We can talk about these games more tomorrow. But I do like the Bills on the road. I'm sorry. Check that. I like Denver at home. Wow. I like Denver at home. I'm sticking with Denver because I have them representing the AFC. I have them winning it all. The Seattle game, that's a really bad spot for the 49ers. And I'm a little worried Seattle's going to turn Brock Purdy over. I'm leaning towards Seattle. I'll tell you my one surprise. I like the Bears at home. And I don't know if this is a surprise, but I think the Texans go in New England and they beat the Patriots. I really do. I think the Bears have a little magic going their way. I text my buddy last night. I rewatched that game against the Packers. They were down 18 points, and then 11 points went under 6 to go, and the Packers couldn't do anything right. And the Packers missed a field goal. That pretty much would have iced the game. The Bears got something going. Now, that weather is going to be cold. It's going to be nasty. It's going to be brutal. But I believe these are the best 8 teams left, right? The way it's kind of played out. Niners by 40. Well, someone's probably been drinking a little Three Brooks bourbon. I don't know if I'm going to go that. Yep, I saw that. Darnold is questionable. Yeah. I mean, that. So think about this for a second. You know, this is a big game for him. It really is. It's, if I were to give you 2 quarterbacks that have the most pressure on them this weekend, I would tell you one of them is Sam Darnold and the other is Josh Allen. Now, when you say he's questionable, we know about his turnovers, and we know that they have to figure out a way to limit the turnovers. So I know you guys are not a Sam Darnold fan. I've been critical of being too much of a Sam Darnold backer, but I like him in this spot. I do. And I don't think he's going to have to sling it all over the place, but I do believe he's going to have an opportunity to throw against the 49ers. The Philadelphia Eagles should have put up more points and more yards against the 49ers. They just couldn't get the ball down the field. They just couldn't get the ball down the field. So Darnold, to me, but he's not listed though. That's the thing. He's not listed. He's not listed anywhere. So again, he's going to play. You don't have to worry about it. Darnold's going to be out there. He's going to be out there. But I don't need Sam Darnold to go out there and go nuts. I don't need him to go out there and be nuts. Yeah, he's added to the injury report, but he's questionable. He's going out there. He knows he's got, again, he's got to go out there. I mean, this could be a career defining game. And by the way, you had a week rest. You just clinched #1 seed. Right? So I'm still confident a banged up Sam Darnold. I just right now, they got too many weapons. They can run the football, distribute the football, and that defense is a great defense. And I think they're going to turn Brock Purdy over. Brock Purdy scares me. He really does. AD chimes in. Q, did you see that Jonathan Gannon's going to interview for the Commanders' defensive coordinator job? What do you think? You know, I'm a Redskins fan. Well, first of all, no one calls them Redskins anymore. They're Commanders. So, yeah, I mean, they got rid of both their coordinators, and they need an offensive coordinator. Matt chimes in. Big Seattle fan. I will. I'll always take Seattle at home. Q. The tough man is big. Yeah, we don't the rat ship. Yeah, we saw that the rat ship just announced it. I saw actually on X. I saw my man Ari tweeting it out as well. I don't see how he misses this game. I mean, it's Thursday, and now it's showing up on the injury report. He's going to play. He's got to play. He's got to play. He has to. And even if he's banged up, he's going to have to suck it up. This could be a career-defining game for Sam Darnold. It could be a career-defining game for Sam Darnold because everyone's waiting for the other shoe to drop. Now, again, here's the problem. If, God forbid, Darnold can't go, who's the backup? Milroe and Drew Lock? Drew Lock's still in the NFL? Then they're going to be up the creek or down the creek, whatever, without a paddle. They're going to be in trouble. But I believe Darnold's going to go. He's going to go. And even if he didn't go, that defense can win the game. I mean, it's going to be a tough move, a tough stretch. Now, has the line moved at all? I'll give you the updated odds right now. It's still sitting at 7. The Texans in that defense on the road against New England, this is a very good spot for this Texans defense. Their run defense is good. How you slow down that two-headed monster of New England? How do you get Drake May in third and long? You got two very good young head coaches. You know the Patriots are going to that stadium's going to be electric. Right? That's a Sunday, 3 o'clock, perfect time. Here we go. Foxborough, weather's going to be nasty. Total is 40. It might be a low-scoring game. I'm leaning towards the Texans. But one of my surprise picks, Chicago at home against the Rams. It just might be Chicago's moment. Think about last year, and Rappaport's actually just confirming too. Darnold oblique injury report questionable. He's got to play. I mean, it's Thursday, and you're talking about now adding him to the injury report. I mean, he was relatively, Seattle's been relatively healthy pretty much all season long, right? They've been one of the most healthiest teams. Yeah, that's again, sure, that's the best case scenario for the 49ers going against a backup, but we know Seattle's defense is still really good. Really, really good. And they're going to have to get to Purdy and turn him over. I mean, listen, he's got to go out there. He's got to go out there because he also understands it could be a game that defines his career. And the last thing you want to be knowing is, man, I'm not going to go in the biggest spot. Right? CJ chimes in, Q, what direction do you think the Eagles are going to go offensive coordinator? I'm still a little worried about your points that you're making on Sirianni. Do you really think there's any substance to that? Do you believe he's going to be on the hot seat, and should he be looking over his shoulder? McDaniel, Kingsbury, or Stefanski? I mean, that's right there. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Tell me what coordinator wouldn't want that job? I mean, say what you want about the Eagles, and we have fun at the Eagles' expense because they just got bounced by the 49ers, but you're talking about, very good position players. Very good position players. Saquon, Bigsby, Brown, Smith, Dotson, who's coming on, Goddard, Calcaterra, right? The offensive line. I mean, the offensive line is still there, is it not? Jurgens and Dickerson and Mulata and Lane Johnson. Oh, by the way, Jalen Hurts. Whatever you think of Jalen Hurts, it's perplexing to me how the Philadelphia Eagles scored 19 points in a playoff game with those weapons. And the quarterback doesn't even crack 170 yards. It just, they should be kicking themselves because they had a really good opportunity to at least get back to the NFC Championship. I don't believe they were built to win it again, but the way things break in the NFC, you never know. But they should be kicking themselves because they shouldn't have been bounced in the wild card game. They shouldn't have. They shouldn't have. Something had to happen. It could have just been pulled. It could have just he could have tweaked it. And typically, too, remember, you get to Thursday when the designation comes out, and then Friday, Saturday, depending upon since it's a home game, you're going to get a walkthrough. But again, the line, I haven't seen much movement just yet. You would think the line would drop at least a half a point, maybe a point, point and a half. With questionable. But that does open up the door, no doubt. If he can't go, yeah, it's a major blow in that defense. There's a lot of strain on that defense. So if you're going with Drew Lock, get your reps in. I mean, get your reps in. Something had to happen. Something had to happen where you twist it, you know, felt something, or it could have been something that was lingering that maybe now just started to take a toll. But again, you had a week. You're recovering, right? 49ers, again, Kyle Shanahan said Fred Warner won't be activated this week. So no Fred Warner, but Seattle, Rappaport's tweeting out, added Sam Darnold to the injury report. Listed as questionable. Huge news. Huge. Gonzalez is going to be a full participant for New England. You guys asked me about Shula. I believe he's scheduled to interview with a couple teams after practice tomorrow when game planning is over. So I think right now you got to get through that playoff prep, obviously. Right? You got to get through. Ryan chimes in. Q, did you see that? The rehab's going well for Mahomes. What do you think? I know it's very early, and I know you're talking about your squad, the Giants, but what are the chances that Mahomes comes back at full strength and the Chiefs are right back where we thought they'd be? AFC's getting very thick. AFC, it's a good division with a lot of young quarterbacks. I'm never going to count out Patrick Mahomes, but okay, so the Titans. So let's do a little housekeeping here. I know there's a report that the Titans have interest in Robert Saleh, and they would love to bring in Mike McDaniel as offensive coordinator because you already have a defensive guy in Robert Saleh. They need someone to help kind of groom a young quarterback in Cam Ward. But they've requested and have gone through a bunch, right? McDaniel, Minter, Stefanski, Shula. Here's another name, by the way, for offensive coordinator for the Eagles, and don't laugh. Brian Daboll. He's a PA guy. He knows the NFC East. He flamed out with the Giants. But again, we always talk about the irony, right? So I'm just kind of throwing it out there. What do we got here? Trying to get to a couple more comments. Titan 6 chimes in. Q, not entirely mad Harbaugh's not coaching the Titans, but definitely a you-know-what move on his part to not even hear them out and talk to the front office. But not really. So let me ask you a question. What's the point of doing that? Like, how is that a prick move? You go to a job interview. You want 80. They offer you 100. You know you have a job opportunity or a job interview on Friday. So you go in on a Wednesday, right? You want 80. You think the one on Friday is not going to offer you 80, but this job offers you 100. You're going to take it on the spot. Why are you going to waste your time and waste their time on Friday? It doesn't work like that. You're not losing. There's no leverage here. Because look at the landing spot. You're apples and oranges. No disrespect to the Titans, but the Titans, Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, Tennessee, New York. They got very good offensive players. They got some good defensive players. The Giants do. Young players that were drafted. I'm not knocking Tennessee, but no, absolutely not. So a lot of these coaches, I can sit there and say, what the hell is the reason for some of these coaches to even take the interview and they know they're not going to get hired? For experience? John Harbaugh doesn't need to have that conversation. John Harbaugh knew before he met with the Giants he was going to take the Giants job. He knew. He knew. Dollars to donuts. Give him truth serum. He knew. I'm not saying he knew once he got fired, but once the reports, the linking, the connection, Harbaugh to the Giants, before he even met with the Giants, John Harbaugh knew he was taking that job. It was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer. As I said, the only people that could have dropped the ball, it wasn't even the Giants in this regard. It was just if Harbaugh felt it wasn't a fit, but he knew it was going to be a fit. He knew. He's looking at it. He's reading the room. He understands this is the best spot I can be. It's not going to be 3 years like some of you guys claim. It's not. There's going to be growing pains. They will struggle. And, calls for his head after 4 and 3, not happening. Like, as long as you're competitive, you win football games and you start to win again. You start to win divisional games. 6 to 7, 7 to 9, then you're in playoffs in year 2 and 3. But he knew, John Harbaugh knew he was taking that gig. Sure, fly me out. Let me meet with everyone. Let me meet with the brass and Chris Mayer and John Mayer and Wellington Mayer. And I'm sorry, Chris Tisch and John Mayer and the Mayer family. And here we go. Here we go. He knew. The coup de grace is, let me sit down with Jackson for a couple minutes. The coup de grace is how much power do you want? The coup de grace, oh, by the way, we're going to pay you 20 plus. We'll lock in for $100 million. I mean, at the end of the day, it's your car. Drive it the way you seem fit. Smells like BS from Seattle. A ploy to make San Fran overconfident. No, not at all. I mean, look, you got to list him on the injury report. You can't not list him on the injury report. If he's got an oblique injury, you got to list him on the injury report. But I still believe he's going to play. And look, Shanahan is not a goofball. 49ers are not a young team. That's a veteran team. They understand this. They're prepping as if Darnold is going to be out there. They're not prepping for Drew Lock. Probably watch a little film just in case. But they know Sam Darnold is not missing this game. And I know Sam Darnold is not missing this game. He's not. He's going to go suck it up. He's going to play. If he's banged up, he's banged up. As long as the offensive line keeps him upright, they got an opportunity to win this game. And I think they have an opportunity to win this game handily, especially because of their defense. Darnold's playing. So 49ers prep as if it's Darnold. Look, you went on the road already, and you beat the defending Super Bowl champs. Now you got to go on the road and beat a team that the rivalry, I mean, those have been some classic games. The 49ers and the Seahawks do not like each other. Like, buckle up. Seriously, you're watching that game, buckle the frig up. That's going to be a nasty, nasty game, man. That's going to be a physical game. Guys are going to get knocked out. Guys are going to get banged around. Just enjoy it. That's going to be a very good football game. Look, I think all these games are shaping out to be wonderful games. Lloyd was telling me, I really like the divisional round. And I said, oh, man, wild card round for me. And now you look and you see how this is kind of playing out. Not bad, right? Not bad at all. All right, last time out. We'll come back and then we'll close out in a couple more minutes. Quick time out. We'll be back. All right, little housekeeping before we clean it up on a Thursday. Back in the saddle tomorrow, Football Friday. Lloyd Vance, hopefully, we'll track him down. John Bueller. NFL, divisional matchups, college football. Hello, we didn't forget about that, obviously, which is right around the corner. Hot stove baseball, mix in a little NBA. Man, the NBA season, because of everything going on with the NFL and the Harbaugh news, and then Tomlin and coaches being fired and hired left and right, and, defending Super Bowl champs bounce and all this hot stove baseball. The NBA is in full swing, so we'll definitely dive into that a little bit. What do we got there? Dan Boy chimes in. Q, I'm a diehard Detroit Lions fan. What direction do you think they're going to go as far as the OC? They've had a bunch of interviews, have they not? I mean, I think they ripped through like 5, 6, 7 interviews. Now, if you're the Lions, would Mike McDaniel kind of be, the belle of the ball for the Detroit Lions? You stick him with that offense? I don't think I don't believe Mike McDaniel is going to get a head coaching gig right away. I don't believe Stefanski is. Now, I'm usually wrong when I say that, right? But um, you know, I don't know. It kind of like flamed out. It just kind of flamed out. 3 weeks ago, fans are crying about losing games. It's crazy how the NFL works. Tanking, lose, and then you play hard, you close out the season, you're building something, and guys around the NFL, they look at that. They look at that. John chimes in. Q, you nailed it. It's all about bringing instant credibility, respect, and structure to an organization that hasn't had it. Yes. Juan chimes in. Q, loving the show as always. As a Giants fan, I have zero hope of a move, only cause Patton tweeted it caught me a little bit off guard with the baseball talk. Ha ha ha. Getting my wires crossed. Yeah, you can't get all crazy now, right? I know Juan. So Juan is that very interesting cat, right? He likes the Giants in baseball, loves the Giants in football, but also is a Yankees fan, which is crazy. That to me is a little Brooks chimes in. Q, waking up this morning as a Giants fan, ignoring the last 15 years, loving the show. There you go. Chris chimes in. Q, as a Giants fan, the Cowboys don't friggin' scare me, and the Eagles are going to spit the bit. Washington stinks. All right. All right. Marcel, Q, a lot of Harbaugh news going on. I'm very happy. Glad he finally signed. Don't ever sing on the air again. But I will say this. It's all about what have you done for me lately? I know my team's been trash right now, but Dable took us to a division. Harbaugh has only been to one AFC ship in years. Fair, but you got to remember, you know, Brian Dayball, 9-7-1. They went on the road. That Vikings team was overrated. I mean, Kirk Cousins couldn't get the ball 13 yards on 4th and 8. Or I should say 4th and 12. He has like a check down for 4 yards. So um, that was a nice win by the Giants. And then they showed they weren't ready to really compete because the Eagles blew their doors off in Philly. You're talking about Harbaugh, early infancy, and you're also talking about a longer body of work in John Harbaugh. So you gotta keep it in perspective. You guys want instant gratification. You want 12 wins next year. That's not happening. It it's just not. The talking heads on the Rat Ship or Fox or the radio or the dial, whatever you guys listen to, the clowns, the goofballs that are pissing on this hire do not understand. They don't. They really don't understand what this franchise needed to turn itself around. They needed order. They needed structure. They needed discipline. They needed respectability. They needed credibility. They get that all wrapped up in John Harbaugh. And you can ill afford to bring in a young coordinator and make him a head coach who has no idea how it works, the inner workings, the logistics, the travel, the practice schedule, what kind of offenses and defenses you want to instill, you want to inject. Some of these guys get so overwhelmed, i.e., McAdoo. Judge, Shermer, Dayball, and it doesn't work out. It doesn't work out. So as I said, the goofballs of the world, and they know who they are, that are just absolutely just railroading this pick. If you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, you would have loved John Harbaugh. If you're a Jet fan, you would have loved John Harbaugh. If you're a Raiders fan, you would kill for John Harbaugh. If you're a Cleveland fan, you wanted John Harbaugh. Like, just, and I'm not picking on that fan base, but I'm just saying, like, relax. Relax. I get it. 18 seasons, 1 Super Bowl. Mike McCarthy, 1 Super Bowl. Mike Tomlin, 1 Super Bowl. It means a body of work is any less? Not everyone can have a run in 5 years like Coughlin did, winning 2 rings in 5 years. But then second half of his career, 12, 13, 14, what happened? Those Giant teams, and this is from the most diehard of diehard Giant fans. Those runs, either they were making it all the way to Super Bowl and winning it, or they were getting bounced. There was no in between. There wasn't NFC championships around that. There wasn't wild card wins, divisional. No. It was in, win, boom. That's it. Make a run. So give me a guy that's winning 12, 13, 14 games a year. Bring over your coordinators that are turning quarterbacks into franchise quarterbacks and all pros and MVP. I'll take my shot. I will. I'll take my shot. Like I said, and if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. But at least I'm taking a shot. I'm doing something bold. The Giants, over the history of the organization, again, they don't sit there and say, we got to do something ballsy. Like, honestly, Tom Coughlin was a good hire. It was a business-like hire. John Harbaugh that's a bold move, man. You're thinking like we're going all in. We're going all in. Parcells was about to get fired in 83. But they hung in there. 84, Sims finally healthy, throws for 4,000 yards. They get to the playoffs. They win a playoff game. They beat the Rams. They lose to the 49ers. 85, they beat the 49ers in the playoffs. They lose to the Bears on the road, NFC divisional game. 86, they win it all 14-2. Like, they had patience. It didn't come overnight. Now, apples and oranges, Parcells Hall of Famer, Harbaugh is going to be a Hall of Famer. But point is, sometimes, the Parcells, they wrote it out with him. Coughlin, that's the business move. These other moves, the Judges, the Shermers, the McAdoo's, the Dables, they were bad hires. They were bad decisions. It did not pan out. It didn't work out. At least I know what I'm getting. It might not be the end-all, be-all in 3, 4, 5 years. Maybe they don't have a ring. Maybe they don't get to Super Bowl. Maybe they don't get an NFC championship. But I'm willing to roll the dice because what I've dealt with, what I've endured over the last 10 years is just horrible football with no structure, no discipline, no rhyme or reason, and just not even competitive football. It's been bad, and I'm tired of it. Just mentioning the NBA. That's all I did, man. I know where you stand on the NBA, and I would never, ever want to, on a thought-out Thursday, go against that. I'm not looking to do that. You know that, and I know that. All right, fast approaching the 5 o'clock hour. Good stuff as always. Appreciate you guys chiming in. Maybe we'll do a little NBA tomorrow. The newest edition of Back Your Plate is out. That's on Spotify, Amazon Music, also Apple. You can check that out. You can download. I appreciate, again, all the new listeners. I see you guys subbing. You guys are commenting on X, on Facebook, on YouTube. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I greatly appreciate it. And I'll leave you with this. I know you guys enjoyed this. I enjoyed it. I mean, I should be the rally cry for the New York Giants. All right, tomorrow, Football Friday, Lloyd, John Bueller. We'll go deep into these games. I got to see if we can maybe punch up. And I don't know if he's out doing any broadcast. Maybe we can try to punch up Costco. Haven't caught up with him this weekend. We always love to catch up with Costco. So we'll see if he might be busy. I don't know. He might be busy tomorrow. I know he's got a shift with On 3. He might have some high school stuff. But if not, we'll try to get him on Monday because obviously the national championship game is Monday. Miami, Indiana. Right now, that line is 8.5. Indiana. Whew. Miami's going to be Miami better bring their big boy pants and their defense. Marty Ball chimes in. Q, please, please. As much as I'm laughing, stop playing that song. All right. Well, I just thought it was funny the first time around. We need Angel to rehash the wild card game. He won't do that. I don't know where Angel is. He's doing God's like work. He's either NASCAR or USF. I don't know. He's listening right now on the AUDACY app. I can tell you that. I don't know where he is. Should we send him a message right now, man? Who knows? All right. Divisional matchups tomorrow. We'll deep dive into the games, a little more remnants of Harbaugh to the Giants. We'll talk a little more about what that means in the NFC East going forward. We'll go deep into the NFL. We'll mix in a little hot stove baseball, college football, obviously with the championship game on Monday. You guys are fantastic. 5 o'clock straight up. Don't forget, we're on SR 1029 FM. The Game. Coastal Sports Digital Network, part of the AUDACY family. Download the free app. Special thanks to my good friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee. Get ready with tea, Three Brooks Bourbon, and of course, Play It Again Sports, 2 locations. Have a good Sports Thursday. Check the notifications tomorrow, what time we're firing off. Check the notifications, but have a good Sports Thursday. We'll be back in the saddle mañana from 4 to 6. As always, I am Rich Quinones. Have a good Sports Thursday. Be safe. Be sound. Hasta luego, buen día.